But the biggest thing is the filibuster. We have to get the country going. We will pass legislation at levels you've never seen before, and it'll be impossible to beat us. By the way, if they do, they're going to do it anyway.
Well, guys, as I'm sure most of you already know, Democrats did a phenomenal job winning elections all over the country. And as most of you can probably guess, Donald Trump is not handling it too well. So he recently sat down with Republicans to talk about the election results and what it meant for the party and yada, yada, yada. And guys, Donald Trump, he's scared shitless. I mean, he is terrified that these are the types of results that could be coming for him in the 2026 midterms. Because if there's one thing that was clear from last night, it was that the American people said no to his administration. And as a result of that, he is now trying to double down on this idea that we just need to give him more power, even though the majority of Americans have already said that he's already gone way too far. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he had to say. And I want to go ahead and start off with this clip where he's trying to convince himself that these elections weren't good for anybody. If you guys do appreciate my work and want to support the show, please do remember to subscribe.
We talk about exactly 1 year ago we had that big, beautiful victory. Exactly 1 year. Last night it was, not expected to be a victory. It was very Democrat areas, but I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody. But we had an interesting evening and we learned a lot. And we're going to talk about that. And I'll say a few remarks. And then after that, I'll ask the press to leave.
Can we just pause it right here for a sec and wonder to ourselves, what is going on with Donald Trump? Why is his eyes nearly swollen shut? Why is his face that shade of orange, much brighter orange than it typically is? I mean, Donald Trump is really, he's just really not looking that good. But I find it hilarious that he is clearly in a self-soothing mode, trying to say that it was only a year ago today, guys, that I won a historic election because I am such a good and popular little boy. And don't worry about these elections, everybody. We weren't slated to win anyway, so these elections, they weren't good for anybody. I mean, give me a fucking break. You guys got your clocks cleaned last night, and now you're just trying to convince yourself that these elections are a bit less significant than they actually are. The American people clearly said that they want something other than you and your fascist administration. Now, the next thing he goes on to say is how the government shutdown may have played a role in these elections.
But I thought we'd have a discussion after the press leaves about what last night represented and what we should do about it, and also about the shutdown and how that relates to last night. I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans, and that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor, but I don't know about that, but I was honored that they said that.
This dude is just so fucking pathetic. He's always got to bring it back to him. The pollster said, because I wasn't on the ballot, guys. Well, that's why we lost, guys, because I wasn't on the ballot. What are you talking about, dude? Everybody came out to vote in spite of you because they're looking around their country and realizing that they do not like what they see. You being on the ballot probably would have only made things worse. And to try to convince yourself otherwise, I mean, just whatever helps you sleep better at night there, Donnie boy. But clearly, I find this hilarious as well because it seems to me that Donald Trump learned for the very first time that the government shutdown is not playing well for Republicans. I mean, is this the first time that his team has showed him this polling? Because it has been this way since the government shutdown began. Everybody knows that the Republicans have been unwilling to negotiate to make sure that healthcare premiums weren't skyrocketing by hundreds of percent. Most of the American people are blaming Republicans because they do not know how to govern, and they are unwilling to talk to the other side. It is astounding that it appears that Donald Trump is hearing these numbers for the very first time. He then goes on to say that Democrats are like kamikaze pilots who are trying to kill this country.
I heard it after Kings, you know, they said I was a king. And I heard it after Kings. I heard it after a couple of other moments in time. And I said, no, I don't believe so. And now I heard it's after the election. I don't believe so. I think they're kamikaze pilots. I just got back from Japan. I talked about the kamikaze pilots. I think these guys are kamikaze. They'll take down the country if they have to.
What the fuck are you talking about, bro? You looked at the results from last night, where there was overwhelming turnout, record-breaking turnout in some cases, people showing up to the polls to rebuke you, your administration, and the Republican Party, and you just want to shit all over that by saying that the Democrats are just kamikaze pilots who are trying to destroy this country? Who is in power right now, bro? You and your administration are literally snatching people off the streets without any due process at all and then shipping them to countries where they have never been before. You are going after news agencies. You're going after our First Amendment. People are now being put in jail for Facebook memes. I mean, what are you talking about? This is not a coherent argument. Again, this is self-soothing mode from Donald Trump, trying to conjure up any story in his head to make his little pathetic self feel better. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the serious stuff, guys, because here's where it gets a bit more dark, I guess you could say. Here he's going on about how it is time for Republicans to nuke the filibuster.
And we can all have big hearts. I have a bigger heart than anybody, but we can't let that happen. It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape. We won't pass any legislation. There'll be no legislation passed for 3.25. We have 3.25 years, so it's a long time. But when they can't do an extension, and John, I think they've done an extension every single time they've ever been asked forever. This is the first time they haven't done an extension. Extensions are supposed to be easy, but if they won't do an extension, they won't do any bill, even a simple bill. And we should do our own bills. We should get out. We should do our own bills. We should open up. We should start tonight with the country's open. Congratulations. Then we should pass voter ID. We should pass no mail-in voting. We should pass all the things that we want to pass to make our elections secure and safe, because California is a disaster. Many of the states are disasters. But can you imagine when they vote almost unanimously against voter ID? All we want is voter ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID. There's only for one reason, because they cheat.
Oh my God, dude. This dude's brain is it's just offline. What are you talking about? You do not need to show your ID to go to the grocery store. And guess what, guy? You don't need to show your ID to go pump some gas. What the fuck are you talking about? But really, guys, what he is saying here is that everybody shows up to the polls last night to rebuke his administration, and instead of maybe changing some of his views, some of his stances, some of his platforms, his response is to double down on his voter suppression efforts. Oh, we just need to nuke the filibuster so we can pass all of this legislation, so we can get voter ID, so we can cancel mail-in ballots, because if we cancel all those things, well, the Democrats surely won't be able to win. That is his train of thought here. He is anti-American. He is anti-democratic. Donald Trump acts like a king. He wants to be a king. And now he is trying to convince Republicans to give him more power like a king. What happened to being our deal maker in chief? I thought you were going to come into office and you were going to be able to work with anybody under the sun to actually get shit done. But of course not. Donald Trump doesn't want to have to work in the confines of the rules of Congress, so instead he just wants to nuke the filibuster so he can start jamming his shit through. Just like a good old authoritarian would want to do. Now, he goes on to say that it would be impossible for Democrats to beat us if I had it my way.
You know, we'll see what happens in court. But it gives the president, it takes away the right of the president to pick people to serve on the court and to serve as U.S. attorneys, which is very important. But the biggest thing is the filibuster. We have to get the country going. We will pass legislation at levels you've never seen before, and it'll be impossible to beat us. By the way, if they do, they're going to do it anyway, and they are going to immediately do the filibuster. And when they do the filibuster, they're going to pack the court. They want at least five justices. Now I hear it's up to 5. I actually heard up to 7 and up to 9, okay?
Yeah, guys, it was up to 5, then it was up to 7, now it's up to 9. Who knows? They might even go for 13. I do not think this argument holds any water for most of the American people. Because if this was a true statement, if this was a true argument, if Democrats really wanted to nuke the filibuster, then why didn't they do it over the last 4 years when Biden was in office? I mean, are the American people really going to buy this? I hope not. But it doesn't really matter anyways. All he wants to do is remove more checks of his power because he just wants to do whatever the fuck that he wants to do. He doesn't want to have to worry about working with Congress. He's already come out and said that we don't need Congress anymore. We passed our big, beautiful bill. That should carry us over through the rest of my term and yada, 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 yada. I'll just issue my executive orders and do all that shit, and we'll just govern by fiat. Because again, guys, Donald Trump doesn't believe in the system of democracy here in this country. He believes that he should be able to point at something, and that thing should be done. If he wants to cancel mail-in ballots, so be it. If he wants to implement voter ID, so be it. If he wants to send the National Guard and the military to intimidate voters and stopping votes in blue areas, well then, he should be able to do that too. This is an un-American fuck who is an enemy of the state, and at the very first... At the very first chance we get, guys, every single Republican asshole who has been supporting this wannabe authoritarian needs to be booted out of office. He then goes on to say that if you do what I say, we will never lose again.
You think you have problems? They're going to do all of the things. They're going to pick up electoral votes. It's going to be a very, very bad situation. And it's done. It's done. As soon as they attain power. Now, if we do what I'm saying, they'll most likely never attain power because we will have passed every single thing that you can imagine that it's good and all good for the country. And there'll be no reason to. If we don't do that, people will say they're not doing much.
This is the same exact argument that he gave in the lead up to the 2024 election. We're going to get into office. We're going to pass all this legislation. We're going to get all these things done because I know how to work with everybody. I am your deal maker in chief. But now he is unable to get pretty much anything done besides this big despicable bill that is kicking millions of people off of their health insurance, millions of people off of their nutritional assistance. That is all he has been able to get done. And now he wants to go a bit further than that and, start gerrymandering, start rigging elections in advance. But the filibuster is standing in his way. Now, this has been something that Donald Trump has been talking about for quite some time. It's normally something that you hear in passing. But after the election results of last night, it appears as though he might actually be exerting more pressure on the Republicans to nuke the filibuster. This should be concerning for everybody. Instead of moderating, instead of looking at what the American people had to say in the elections last night, Donald Trump's instinct is to just steal more power from Congress. That way he has fewer and fewer checks on his power. So, as I said, guys, Donald Trump is not handling this well. Democrats did a phenomenal job last night. We were winning in races all over the country. And we're not just talking about the big races either. We're talking about overturning supermajorities in Mississippi. I think the first Muslim woman in Virginia was elected on a statewide race for the first time in history. I mean, we got the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. All over the country, people showed up to rebuke Donald Trump and his authoritarian takeover. That is what last night was about. And instead of working within the confines of our democratic system, Donald Trump is now trying to convince the Republican Party that he should just be handed over more power so he can just ram through whatever the fuck that he wants to do. So I will leave it there for now, guys. As I will continue to say, give yourselves a pat on the back. Last night's elections were just about as close to a blowout as you could probably possibly get. phenomenal job for the Democrats. We need to pick up on this momentum and carry it forward. We've got a lot of work to do before the 2026 midterms. And if you're looking to support organizations that are working to get out the vote, working to register young voters and have conversations all around the country, make sure you check out the Unfuck America tour. You can hit that link in my bio below where you can sign up to volunteer. You can sign up to donate. You can even purchase tickets to our upcoming event in Phoenix in December. Every little bit helps, guys, and I need to raise a little bit of money so I can make it down to Phoenix in December. So every little bit helps, whether it's $5, whether it's $10, whether it's $50. We've got a little more than a month to go before this event, and so every little bit would help and would be greatly appreciated. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are building something here on the left that pushes back against this MAGA media machine that just launders all of this authoritarian nonsense for Donald Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. And if you guys want to go a step above and beyond that and actually help me produce these videos, you can become a member right here on YouTube for as little as $3 a month. Or you can head over to politiscape.substack.com where you can have my content delivered directly to your inbox every single day without the doom scrolling, without the algorithms. And the cool part about Substack is I own the data over there. So signing up over on Substack is a huge win for me over there, guys. So until next one, guys, everybody keep your chin up, give yourself that pat on the back, and I'll see you on the next one.